Yeah, this one's about how to use the SNOMED CT browser. It's going to be about half an hour. So you can find the SNOMED browser at snomed.org/browser, and you'll first be greeted by a license statement. SNOMED CT is free to use in France because France is a member country. They're part owner of SNOMED, the standard, as a member, but you're welcome to read through it and click accept. There's a green button somewhere. And once we've got the browser open, which I'll do in a moment, there are, we have the international edition here in blue, and there's many national extensions. This doesn't really cover all the countries where SNOMED is used. It's just the countries who have extended SNOMED by translating or adding new concepts or new subsets or maps. The team here are currently working on finalizing the first version of the French edition of SNOMED, which is very exciting. So there'll be a new item in this menu soon. For this introduction, I think I'll use the international edition here. So we'll just select the one you want. So why don't you follow along with me and go and open the browser. I've got this annoying Teams control, which I don't know how to get rid of. I'm going to try and remember my shortcuts for changing tabs. So we're going to snomed.org/browser. And let's go to the international edition. Yeah. The browser's translated into several languages. There's a flag icon here. So we can use French if you prefer. That doesn't change the content of the concepts. It just changes the labels and the user interface controls like the buttons and the tab labels. I'm going to keep it in English so I don't get lost. Well, there's a suggestion actually that we could use the Belgian edition because there's some French-like content in there. It's Belgian French, it's slightly different, but we could see some different terms. So if you wanted to use the Belgian edition, you can go back to the start using the SNOMED CT browser link. The Belgian is here. If you wanted to see some concepts that have got different translations. So orientation of the browser and what's that where. The first thing probably to look at is the taxonomy, which is this first tab on the left. And here we have the tree of SNOMED terms. By default, clinical finding is selected, and we don't see our 19 top-level hierarchies that Anna introduced. So I recommend clicking this X button here and clearing the selection. And then we can see our 19 hierarchies. I'll make this slightly bigger. The screen sharing. I have switched on the descendants count. You don't need it on, but you can. It's quite interesting to see just a high-level view of the size of some of these components. There's many body structures, around 40,000, and even more clinical findings, around 120,000. So on the left-hand side of the browser is how we access all of SNOMED, either by the hierarchy or by the search. And the right-hand side of the browser is for seeing more detail of individual concepts. I've covered this already. We recommend clearing the selection so that you can see all the hierarchies. And of course, on the top right, you can change the translation of the user interface. So there again is our 19 top-level hierarchies, and we can use the blue arrows to expand the hierarchies and drill down. It's quite interesting just to drill down and browse through them. There's also a search, of course. The search is in the next tab here. Now the search style, it uses a multiple prefix any order search. There's a minimum of 3 characters that you need to enter. For example, if we enter DIA, dia, all terms that start with those characters will be returned. We can use multiple prefixes, so we could put a space and another prefix, and then all terms with both of those prefixes somewhere in the words will be matched. Of course, if you enter more characters, then you narrow down your search. So we're going to try entering dia, and we'll get a pretty broad selection. We've got 4,000 concepts, and they're across different domains as well. We've got some objects, some organisms, some substances, some procedures. There's a whole mixture there. We can think of the browser as kind of a big warehouse of all the content. You should never use this in a production system, and it's not intended for clinicians to use the browser because it really covers like everything in SNOMED, and it's really broad. But it's good for exploring SNOMED, as a data scientist or an implementer, to find relevant areas. So by default, the search results aren't grouped by concept. They're actually returning descriptions that match. And because there are many descriptions per concept, you may see the same concept returned multiple times in search results. For example, if I search for diabetes, I'm trying to find one that's here multiple times. We've got diabetes mellitus here, and I'm sure it'll be somewhere else as well. I can't find the example. Let's try. Let's narrow it down a bit. Okay. I still can't find the example. Oh, it's because I've got it switched on already. The browser's remembered my preferences. Last time I used the browser, I asked it to group by concept. It's this item here. If we untick that, then we'll start to see the duplicates. So for example, for diabetes mellitus type 1, I've got like, I think 6 matches there. And there may be more lower down. So this is actually returning unique descriptions that match on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, these are the unique fully specified name. We'll talk more about description types in the next presentation. But essentially, if you want unique results, unique concepts, use this button, group by concept. Okay, so that's the search at a high level. There's other ways of filtering search. As I mentioned before, we've got a mixture of things when we go for dia, for example. We've got a mixture of types of concepts, some objects, organisms, substances, procedures. We can filter by type. There's a semantic tag filter here on the left. The semantic tag is a strange name. It's this part of the description that we have in brackets of the FSN. And it kind of tells you which hierarchy it's in. So this one's in substance. So we can filter by type. For example, if we just wanted to see body structures, we can click body structure. If you want to see multiple body structures and drugs, for example, we can click them both, and that helps us to filter our search. We can also filter by language and module. We can filter by French, for example. You see here that there's more English, there's around 150 English terms that match this search. there's just over 200 Dutch. There's less French, and it could be that there's less concepts translated to French in the Belgian edition, or it could mean that dia just doesn't match so many French descriptions. Or we can filter by language. This this Belgian flag here, what does that indicate? I'm not sure. Anna, do you know what this Belgian flag is for? Oh, because it's Belgian French description. Okay.
Yeah, isn't it? It's because it's a module. I think the flags are applied depending on the module it belongs to.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I don't think this concept is in the Belgian module.
The term,
I think it's
maybe.
I think it's the term. Yeah, the term is in the Belgian module.
Yeah,
The
it could be
term
the
is in the
concept or
term.
the terms.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of I'm used to browsing editions that only have one language, and of course Belgium has at least three. But we always see the Belgian flag if it's a Belgian description, even if it's German, French, or Dutch. Makes sense. Okay, so that's about filtering. There's a couple of search modes as well. Concepts in SNOMED can become inactive over time. And that means we no longer think they're useful. There's a variety of reasons which I'll cover in the next presentation. But if we want to search for some of those inactive concepts, we can do that by switching the search mode. We can, there's this button here. At the moment, I'm searching just for active concepts, but I can search for both. And they're clearly indicated in the results. The inactive ones are red. So these are ones that should no longer be used for data entry. The concepts still exist, and they may be recorded against clinical records. But we still need to be able to find them. We never delete something from SNOMED, but we make it inactive to suggest that it shouldn't be used for data entry. We still need them in here because we may need to do data analysis using them, using the existing records. We can also change the text search mode. So we can, by default, it's partial matching, using prefixes, but we can use a full text search mode where we have to enter the whole word, otherwise it won't match. Right, so this is, I've covered a bit about the browser and the search, and I wanted to say something about inactive content now. So when concepts are active, and they'll show, as white in the search. Also on the concept summary, it shows that they're active here. So those active concepts, are recommended for use. They're intended for data entry in EHR systems. And they're the ones that are easily selected by the SNOMED query language because they're still part of the hierarchy. Now, when a concept becomes inactive, then of course it's shown as red in the search. So these are concepts that were useful or created in the past, but then they should no longer be used for data entry. And possible reasons for making them inactive could be that the meanings of the word have changed over time as medicine evolves, and if they become ambiguous or no longer valid clinically, then they'll become inactive. Also, descriptions themselves can become inactive, and they may be replaced over time. So when a concept is inactive, it no longer has any active parents. So it won't appear in the taxonomy. You'll only be able to find it by the search. We'll talk more about inactive concepts later when we get onto the query language. Okay, so moving to the right-hand side of the browser, we start off with the concept summary tab here. And the summary tab starts with the parents of the concept. SNOMED is a polyhierarchy. That means concepts can have multiple parents because the structure of SNOMED reflects the meaning or the logical definition of a concept or a clinical idea. And if a clinical concept can be defined by two things, for example, it could be defined that it's a disorder of the lung, for example, and it could also be an infectious disease, and then it may have two parents. So the parents are first in the summary tab, and then we have a list of the concept's descriptions. We've got the concept code here, the ID, and we've also got a summary of the attributes, the relationships. So this dialysis procedure has a method attribute, and it's filtration. So that means this procedure is done using the filtration action. And we've also got a list of the children. So these are the subtypes. So these are like more specific concepts that all have this this parent, and these can be expanded. So that's the summary tab. In the details tab, we have more extensive information about the descriptions. These are grouped by language. For example, the Belgian Dutch is here and the Belgian French is here. And you see there's description types. We've got the FSN. This one unambiguously describes the whole meaning of a concept, but it's often not that friendly for display. Here we've got the preferred synonym. This one should be used for display in clinical systems. And then we've got many other synonyms that can be used to help the search. Here's a bit more about the description types. So when we see that F against the description, it's a fully specified name, and it includes the semantic tag, the bit in brackets, that says what part of the hierarchy it is in, what type of concept. And we've got the synonyms, the other terms that are used to help the search, and they're good alternative descriptions for the concept. And finally, the preferred term is the one with the star, and that should be used for display in clinical systems. There can be different preferred terms for different languages or different dialects. We've covered this stuff already. At the bottom, we've got all the relationships of the concept. This one doesn't have many. It's got the is-a relationship to say which parent it has, and it's got one method type relationship. So these relationships, the is-a relationships are used to organize the hierarchy and say where it is in the hierarchy. The other relationships can be useful for querying. We'll come on to that. I think I need to speed up because I was going to start on the query language at around 11. I'm wondering how many slides I've got left. Oh, only a few, that's fine. We're going to go through the other tabs of the browser. Next one is the diagram. This is kind of a formal way of showing the parents up here and the attributes of a concept. I should have picked another concept with a few more attributes. We've got other ways of displaying the concept parents and attributes. This is an interesting one here. This is like an expression or a formal expression of the concept. So this is relevant when we get onto querying SNOMED CT because the query language is selecting which of these expressions match. We've got a ref tab. these are kind of like subsets, or the subsets that this concept is part of. For example, there's an international patient summary subset, and this concept is part of it. We can also see the changes to this concept over time and where it's used in other parts of SNOMED. So these are kind of like backwards links. Which concepts use this concept as an attribute? I'm going to skip over that. We've got expressions. Yeah. Okay, so there's more details in the slides. These slides are available in French. They've been translated. I'm sure they'll be shared with you at the end. Is there any questions on the browser before we start looking at the query language?